Before I begin this, I would like to point out one simple thing. Well, maybe a few. First off, I am not good at accents. Just wanting to let you know that, as you may have been able to tell, that I attempted to do a British accent last time. It did not work out well. As well, just remember I am not a professional reader like some people I know. But with that known, let us begin. The 39 Clues, Rapid Fire Book 3. Hunted by Clifford Riley. The Clue Hunt. The walls of the Watcher's office were painted a stark, blinding white. Others found the endless lack of color unsettling, even frightening. But the Watcher enjoyed her sterile environment. She didn't need windows, or paintings, or trophies from past missions. She just needed one thing. The only thing in her office that broke the uniformity of the room. The panel of view screens opposite her desk. When they weren't in use, they blended perfectly with the surgically clean walls, but the view screens were rarely turned off. She was the Watcher, and there was always someone to watch. The Watcher saw everything. She saw into the offices of politicians from every country. She observed five-star generals discussing strategy during top-secret meetings. She heard the words and monitored the faces of thousands of unsuspecting people around the world. No one could escape the Watcher's eyes. Not even the Cahill family. The Watcher had followed them throughout her entire career. All of her colleagues had. No one was a greater threat to her organization than the Cahills, and now they were on the move again. Not that they'd ever really stopped. The four branches of the largest, most powerful family in the world had been hunting for the 39 clues for 500 years. None of them, not the Ekaterinas, the Janus, the Thomas, or even the powerful Lucians, had managed to find all of the clues. But that was about to change. Grace Cahill, the matriarch of the Cahill family, was dead, and her death had kicked off a new clue hunt, with teams from all branches of the Cahill family competing. Whoever was the first to find the clues would become the most powerful person in human history. Or so they thought. The Watcher was sitting inside her office, looking through the latest reports on Cahill activity, a small smile playing across her face. Grace Cahill had been gone less than a week, and the clue hunting teams were already creating mayhem that rivaled anything their ancestors had caused, which, of course, was why they so intrigued the Watcher. The Cahills were the best inventors, athletes, artists, and leaders in the world, and they had spent centuries using their formidable talents to search for clues. They were very good at what they did, and the Watcher needed good people. It would be tricky convincing one of them to abandon the clue hunt in favor of other pursuits. But she knew that, to the right Cahill, the Watcher's offer would have considerable appeal. The trick was to identify the most promising candidate. Her employers would need someone malleable, someone who could be convinced to make the clues a second priority. one of the Cahill children. They were more open-minded than their parents, and more talented too. In spite of their young age, many of them had already achieved far more than their adult counterparts. They were intelligent, strong, wealthy, and even powerful. Each one had a potential to make the Watchers' employers very happy. But more importantly, their youth made them vulnerable. They would be drawn in by the tantalizing promise of something greater than the clues. The Watcher would make the right candidate an offer that couldn't be refused. First, though, she had to eliminate any candidate who might jeopardize her employer's mission. She had to find someone with the right mix of talent and morals that were a bit flexible. Someone her employers could count on to get a job done, no matter what that job might be. After all, the Vespers only accepted the best. Ted Starling felt a surge of victory as he pulled the car to a stop in front of the Franklin Institute in downtown Philadelphia. "There," he said, pointing. "A Toyota hybrid." "Lucky guess," his brother Ned said from the back seat, but he was grinning. "The Cahill kids aren't in it," Ted observed. "Just their babysitter. Looks like they've been inside for a while." "Couldn't have been that long," Ned replied. "We only lost them half an hour ago." In the passenger seat next to Ted, his sister, Sinead, was already pulling on the door handle. "What are you waiting for? Let's go," she said. Sinead and Ned were Ted's fellow triplets, each with matching auburn hair and freckles. They were 16 years old, but Sinead was technically the oldest. Only by a few minutes, but that didn't stop her from acting like she was in charge. Amy and Dan Cahill had managed to lose them on the highway en route to the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia, looking for a clue believed to be hidden by Benjamin Franklin himself. They'd had a stroke of luck. There was no other explanation as to how they'd gotten here first. The Starlings were all geniuses, and Ted knew more about Benjamin Franklin than most other Franklin historians, while Amy and Dan were younger, less informed, and not half as smart. The triplets filed out of the car and made for the Franklin Institute. Ted's stride quickened as they approached the sprawling building he'd once spent so much time in. When he was a kid, Franklin had been his favorite inventor. The guy had discovered electricity and designed the first bifocals. After all, he was almost as talented as Ted himself. Inside, Sinead went straight to a map of the museum and planted her finger on it. "There," she said. "Franklin Gallery. That's where the little orphans are." Ted and his brother followed her without comment, but something was niggling at the back of Ted's superpowered brain as they passed through the halls. "Ned," he said, "remember that time our parents took us to Philly for the weekend, and we spent a whole day in this museum?" "Yeah, you spent half the day in the Franklin Gallery quizzing the curator about Franklin trivia," Ned laughed. "He tried to have you kicked out for causing a disturbance." Yeah, but he was really just mad that I knew more about Franklin than he did, Ted said. And then I got bored and sneaked off to try to get into the storage room. They kept more stuff back there, like the really old documents that weren't on display. Ned's eyebrows shot up. Documents written by Franklin? Ted didn't answer. Sinead? He hissed, so that his sister slowed down to look at him. I have an idea.